Hello everyone, this is OpsterGaming here. Today, got a special video for you guys. We've got one on the channel, also known as Rhae and Kingslayer in Clash of Lords 2. I think currently on the Android English 2 server, he is number 2 in Lords League, I think, in a moment. If you look at Hero Trials, he's number 1 in Kingslayer. All the different modes, different positions, but he's usually roundabouts the top player in the game. So we're going to be going through his base siege setup, which is Penthesilea, Rene Vann, Glory Priestess, Exafan and Chrono Keeper. The issue with new heroes in the game we're going to cover first is that due to how expensive these new heroes are to level up, you've got to remember you're taking into everything consideration. So evolving them, enlightening them, max enlightening them, mastery, glyphs, everything. And you count all of that and you think about how long it will take to do that, or how much money it would take to do that if you're a spender. So you can't always max out the new hero. And not only that, the biggest issue with that really is that you don't know if this new hero, which you're putting loads of money into, is actually going to be any good at replacing one of your current heroes, because your two main attack heroes are Exafan and Chrono Keeper. So as you can see in the screen right now, you just looked at the enhancements, the enchants, and now we're looking at the glyphs. As you can see, he's basically got most of his glyphs maxed out. I think 1 or 2 aren't. And you think about how long it would take to get all that mastery, all them glyphs. It'd take ages. So whenever you're looking at a new hero setup, you gotta take into consideration, is it feasible, or should you work on your current heroes? So as you can see, he's actually picked around Penthesilea, Rene Vann, Glory Priestess, Exafan and Chrono Keeper, which in all fairness have been in the game for a good few years now. I think Chrono Keeper is the newest hero there. I think he came out in 2020, so that's still 2 years ago now. So the newest hero in the setup is from 2020. So there's not actually any new heroes in there, because I think they brought us some heroes like Bow Ranger, I think was one of them, Foxy, Shooting Star is a newer hero. It's not greatly new, but it's newer than any of the heroes in the setup. You could even count maybe Chaos Ember, Nightmare Morpho, but none of them in this setup. And it's because really this is probably the best hero setup that you're gonna have for a. In all fairness, whenever it comes to a setup, I wouldn't even call it pay to play, if I'm honest. Because you think about it, Penthesilea, you can get that enlightened, maybe max enlightened, free to play. Rene Vann, you can get it max enlightened, free to play. Glory Priestess, max enlightened, free to play. Exafan, it'll be a bit of work, but I reckon you get it done. Because you can get it from the 5 times hires. And Chrono Keeper will be your hardest one, but due to the others being alright, you should be able to spend time and get the Chrono Keeper enlightened. So I think all of these are feasible for a free to play player to try and work on. And this is one of the reasons why he's actually picked this basic setup. But I'm not going to lie to you, he hasn't just made this because of free to play players. This is his setup that he's been using for the past few months. This is the setup that he goes into base siege with. Now, I just want to let everybody know all the credits for this video will be going to Rhae. He actually done a voiceover on this originally, so I've watched the video multiple times over so that I can provide you guys with the important information. So I'm actually going to pause it now, and I'll go and check and see if there's any more important information that I've missed before I go on to the next part. Just want to do an update. I've just gone back over the video to check if there's anything that I have missed. I do not appear to have missed anything which I feel would be very important to you guys. More just about the meta, how everybody's often used same heroes, same aid heroes, same everything. So it'd be interesting to see if Clash Wars 2 were to bring out something that would add some more variety. That's more just rounding it down. We're actually going to be backtracking a little bit now. We're going to go back to the Glyphs, so we're going to progress on to Exafan. Obviously Exafan is skill damage based. He is your damage hero. So a must have is Hero's Finesse because of the fact that it is skill damage plus 50%. Obviously very useful because it increases skill damage. You also want Jacko Terror because it has a minus 60% cooldown on your active skill. So it means that you can use it faster. And also got increased attack, which is good for damage. Something else that you're going to need is Stuck Defender because obviously he's a damage hero and you want to increase his damage. So he's got increased damage against targets with less than 55% HP by 35%. Hero's attack plus 14,250, and also you get a nice HP increase, which is also very useful. Got Phonetic Festival, I think it's it. And that one's obviously useful for HP. You always want to have an academic set because you want to keep your heroes alive, obviously, because I know they're damage heroes, but you're going to want to keep them alive. Now, because you got this set, you've also got a damage reduction plus 20% and hero dodge rate plus 20%, which is also very useful to keep your heroes alive, because as much as you want to increase the amount of damage you do, there's no point in doing that if you can't keep the hero alive long enough to deal the damage. So do remember that whenever you're taking everything into consideration. Also to add to the academic set is the bonus for your skill damage. Make sure to check that out as I forgot to go over it. Now we're going to go over Resonance. Now obviously what is Resonance? You see the gold around all the Glyphs. You get that by, I'm pretty sure it's maxing out the Glyphs. So your special Glyphs go up to level 40, your red ones go up to level 30. Now this Resonance gives you a nice bonus, but if you have your Glyphs in a set like the academic set on screen, if you've got Resonance on it, you will take that 11% and turn it into a 15. So in total, you'll actually be able to times it by 5 thanks to Resonance, and you'll get 55%. So basically increases hero damage by 55% upon using an active or divine skill. So once again, increases the active skill. The Exafan is all about his skill, so you need to remember that. Any bonus to his skill is a massive bonus for Exafan. Now I'm going to clarify exactly how you get Resonance. So as you can see on the screen, your hero aid is important to this. You need to have the same Glyphs on your hero aid and have them at max level. You see the little circle in the top left corner of your Glyphs? If you've got that, it means that you've got Resonance on the Glyphs. That is the only way to get the bonus, so you must have it on your hero and on your aid. So Resonance is something which you could say is a bit pay to play, because it's hard enough to max out the special Glyphs to begin with, and it's hard enough to get them to begin with really if you're free to play. Regarding what's on the screen, you can use Twist the Knife or Below the Belt. So increase damage against targets at more than 50% HP by 75%. Very useful. It's up to you which one you want to use, Below the Belt or Twist the Knife. One who's on the channel today uses Below the Belt, obviously. Now moving on to Chrono Keeper. Regarding Chrono Keeper, obviously here's your main damage hero. So the Glyphs that you're going to want on him is an academic set. Obviously I've already explained that. Keep your hero alive, also can increase attack. But what's important to remember with your other Glyphs is increase the damage and increase your hit speed. So you want to be able to hit them very fast whilst also dealing high damage. That's your main thing with Chrono Keeper. You can see what Glyphs he uses on screen. Now with the Glyph party song on screen, you can see hero attack damage plus 48%, which is good. But what's important is piercing attacks plus 90% for 13 seconds after using a skill. Cooldown minus 10 seconds. Oh, sorry, cooldown is 10 seconds. Now, what's important to remember with piercing attacks is piercing is not your skill or your divine. It is your normal attack. So, you know, whenever your heroes are literally just hitting the other heroes, it's basically the opposite of block. Attack and block. It's the opposite of block, so it's just attacking. Now I'm going to give you 1-1's explanation on this. He's actually done it quite well because he's been in contact with IGG before about it. So you can see on the screen, increases heroes' block attacks by 70% is one of the enhancements, and then the other one is increase heroes' piercing attacks by 70%. So to explain it simply, really, your piercing attacks is piercing through your enemies, damage hero reduction. So you know how you got damage reduction? Piercing is getting through that. Think of damage reduction like a shield, and piercing is being able to get through that shield. So you're basically lowering your opponent's hero's damage reduction by increasing your hero's piercing. Hope that makes sense. Please just maybe rewind it and watch it again. Might take a few times watching it to understand it. I just think of it more of like a shield, and your piercing is getting through the shield. I think of it like that. I think it's a nice and easy way to remember it. The reason why we're talking about piercing attacks in the video is because of the set, and which we're going to show on screen in a second. Obviously it's about piercing attacks, so you need to understand what that means and what it does. Obviously, Chrono Keeper can be a very nasty damage dealer if you have the right glyphs on him. He can be a very fast attacker too, not as fast as a hero like Ambrosia, but he can be very fast. So keep that in mind. Now, obviously, a big part about Chrono Keeper is his divine, but you got to remember that a hero like Chrono Keeper, a massive part of his attack is how fast he can hit the enemy heroes and his attack rate. So that's the reason why we've got glyphs on him, like Winter's Rage. I want to now state that Winter's Rage and Party Song kind of go hand in hand, because you're reducing your enemy hero's damage reduction whilst also increasing your own hero's attack rate, meaning that you're absolutely getting those hits in there really fast, so you're hitting them harder. So they really go hand in hand on that, and that's the reason why they work so well together, those glyphs. So remember that whenever building your Chrono Keeper's glyphs. Now we're going to move on to Rene Vann. So her glyphs are very simple, to be honest, because obviously she's a reviving hero and that's what she's good for. So you want to keep her alive. That's the reason why we got the anniversary set here. So recovers 30% of max HP over 10 seconds, increases damage reduction, which is what you want on her. You also gain invincibility for 15 seconds upon getting inflicted with silenced, once every 30 seconds. So that's very good. Obviously you get some hero damage, but the main thing there is about the health. So you want to keep her alive. Now we're going to talk about the Glyph Party Star. Now that's a very used glyph by a lot of players, and there's a good reason for it. Especially about a year ago, I think it was, whenever most bases had Air Elite, Wrath or Tidal Guardian on them. Because of this glyph, you can have 70% chance to inflict silence for 6 seconds, and you can also increase the rage cost if you've got the full set. And now that rage cost, it would be so high that it would stop the base from actually using any of their active skills. Now if we have a look at the anniversary set, it's kind of the complete opposite as the anti of the star set, because of the fact that you can gain invincibility for 15 seconds upon getting inflicted with silence. So that can be very useful, obviously, because it stops people from stopping you from using your active skills and divine skills. I know the issue, I get it a lot. Now we're going to talk about the Blessed Spender. So the Blessed set Obviously, we like to use this on a lot of heroes because it's all about survivability and all that. So gains a shield that absorbs up to 650,000, sorry, damage for 10 seconds after using an active or divine skill. Hero attacks deal 50% increased damage when the shield is active, and also of course you get the 14,250 heroes attack bonus. So this Glyph is very much about hero survivability and keeping your heroes alive. Now we're going to talk about Heroic Resilience, which is very useful because it's got skill damage reduction plus 50%. So you'll take less damage from heroes like Exafan, who have very nasty active skill damage. So it can definitely help you against those sorts of heroes, which would absolutely annihilate you. So that's the reason why we've got that Glyph on there. Now we're going to move on to the final Glyph, which is Phonetic Festival. So hero HP plus 356,250. Heals 7% of max HP every 5 seconds, and HP recovered plus 59%. So that can be very useful. Next we're going to move on to the hero Glory Priestess and have a look at her Glyph. You don't have to go crazy on the Glyph set for Glory Priestess because she's quite basic. All you want really is a Rinter set and an Academic set because that's all about healing and keeping her alive. The main thing about Glory Priestess is her Divine. So that's pretty much all we're going to cover on the Glyphs because there's not really much to cover. It's just very basic, nothing too much needed. You don't have to go crazy. There's more heroes in the game which you can care about for Glyphs more than Glory Priestess. Now we're going to move on to Penthesilia's Glyphs. Now an important set for Penthesilia is the Glacial set because of the fact that she is a melee hero, meaning that she does up close damage. Now the beauty of this Glyph is that it decreases your enemy hero's attack rate, movement speed and damage by up to 72%. So that's the massive thing about this Glyph really. It basically allows Penthesilia to be a beast, if I'm being honest. So on to the next Glyph. Because you use your skill a lot on Penthesilia, you're going to want Holy Star, which can help you out to use your active skill more. Next on the Summer Float. Now you're going to want this Glyph to be level 40 because you get a max of 2 stacks, so you get 2 stacks on it. So here's HP plus 356,250, but the main thing is attacks gain an additional 54% leech effect for 9 seconds every time your attacks hit an enemy. Now of course that's max 2 stacks. You don't need the whole set for this Glyph. Now on to Summer Potential, which we just skipped over kind of. You can read it in your own time, can't you guys? Regarding the Glyph that we just skipped over, you can use Party Hacks, which is also very useful, but reuse this one because of the skill damage. Now very important is the equipment, the Devilish Dagger. Heroes equipped with it have a 90% chance to steal any healing effects from an enemy hero. So basically you can keep a hero alive, which is very important of course. There's currently a bug in the game where it allows for the enemy hero's health reduction not to work. I think I've got that right, please correct me if I haven't. So yeah, you want to use this piece of equipment if you can get it. Now we're going to go through the hero aids. So you got Storm Rider, you've got Ravager, and you. Now moving on to the hero Glyphs. On Penthesilia we've got Storm Rider, Animal Lass, and Ravager. So they're basically the best 8 heroes for it. Animal Lass basically gives you an extra life, I think. Pretty sure that's right. The same too for Rene Vann. So the hero on screen and the age slot can be very useful on Penthesilia. I know that a Sandmine definitely can be on defense because of the fact that it can make her heal quicker, which is obviously very useful. That's all I've got to say about this hero really. The next aid hero will be Rhae, who can be very useful due to his 60% chance to dispel a random buff from the enemy hero. with the lowest HP every 3 seconds if a buff is dispelled. The main thing is to maybe dispel a random buff because of a Rhae. Another important thing to mention, particularly for pay-to-play players, is that you should try and have Enlightenment level 35 aid heroes, especially in your first slot. It doesn't matter so much for health dependent heroes, but for your damage dealers you're going to want level 35 Enlightenment heroes in your first aid slot because of the increased damage dealt to heroes that it can give as an extra bonus. So do keep that in mind, that is something very important if you've got a high damage dealing hero like an Exafan or a Chrono Keeper for example. They can be very useful for them heroes. On the Exafan you'll be able to see that we've actually got an Enlightenment level 50 hero, a shooting star. Now the aid result of that is increased damage dealt to heroes by 65%, and that is a hell of a lot. That's a big increase and it can be very important. Obviously this isn't obtainable to free to play players, but for pay to play this can be very useful, so do keep this in mind, it is very important. Now moving on to another piece of equipment for Exafan, the spear. It can be a very good piece of equipment because attacks cannot be dodged, and melee heroes gain the ability to attack air units. So attacks deal 50% additional damage as direct damage, and skills deal 40% additional damage as direct damage. So 100% more added damage against flying heroes. Direct damage cannot be mitigated. So that is a very good piece of equipment, mostly because you're constantly using your active skill on Exafan. So if this Spiteful Spear cannot be dodged, it means that you're constantly hitting the enemy heroes, which is exactly what you want to get their health down and kill the hero. So keep that in mind whenever thinking about what equipment you should have on your Exafan. Spiteful Spear will always be the #1 piece of equipment, at least at the moment until a new piece of equipment comes out. So that's the reason why we're using that. Now the empowered skill is increased damage reduction against flying heroes by 75%. Unleashes Spite when using active skills, dealing 250% attack damage to a random enemy hero. Prioritizes flying heroes and reduces their damage by, didn't get the same number. But yeah, so it's a very important piece of equipment for Exafan. The spear is probably the best piece of equipment in the game. Also use it in Chrono Keeper. Regarding the hammer, we all know what it does. It gives you your divine a second time, which is very useful on Rene Vann and Glory Priestess. That's the reason why they both have the hammer on them. Now moving on to the Bastion lineup. The Officer Reindeer, of course, is the most important hero there. You want to use it either in your main lineup or your backup. You must have it there if you're using Exafan, and we'll see why the benefit is now. Just going to go find a hero. There's so many heroes there to search through. Just got to find Officer Reindeer there. I find the costumes throwing me off most. I can't recognise them. Reindeer, I suppose you could. Now the thing with this hero is that it reduces Exafan's active skill Rage cost by 50% if both of them are deployed in battle. So he works very well with Exafan, and with Exafan's most important thing being its active skill. If a rage cost is reduced by 50%, it basically takes it from 1 rage to 0.5. So you just, rage is kind of like elixir, so you constantly press it at 0.5 now. That's very useful because you're constantly using it over and over again. Basically makes it for free. Although if you get something else with it and take it down to 0.5 already, you can actually take it down to 0. We also use Shadow Beast on the reserve formation because of his damage reduction. He can be very good at making sure that your heroes take less damage. His insight is also very useful. You can go give that one a read up. He also used Demon Slayer, who is very good because he can pull heroes with his divine. Ironclad, very useful because, as already mentioned, you can take Exafan's rage down from 0.5 to 0. That's what he does, so that's the reason why he's very useful. It might shock you for why Genie is here, but the reason why he's actually here is because he can basically cancel out Pangoliades, so they can no longer keep the hero alive if they're in your enemy hero's aid formation. He can also stop heroes from being resurrected or brought back to life, which is very useful. So basically cancels out Enchantress and Rene Vann Divine. So remember, that's the reason why he's actually very important. We're now going to have a quick run over on the Glyphs of the heroes from the Bastion. So we're going to start off with Genie. So most of these you'll notice that we use the academic set. Now there's obvious reasons for why we use that. Let's look at Ironclad. So we've got academic again, and we've got mine's gone blank, but I'm sure you know what it is. You got Stoic Defender, so that's that. Shadow Beast, the most important one here. It is the same setup as Penthesilia's Glyphs, and that's because of his melee damage that he deals. So because he's high damage dealing and he's a melee hero, just like Penthesilia is melee, that's the reason why we've got the exact same Glyph setup there. Now we're going to take a hit in Lord's League and show you guys the setup and how it works. So just going to search for a match. I want to clarify that this is not the recommended hero setup, at least not for a free-to-play player. As you got to remember, a lot of the things that I've shown in this video are very high level dependent, max enlightenment, resonance, all that kind of stuff, and as a free-to-play player you're probably going to really struggle to get that, especially on these heroes. So do keep that in mind. I will make a free-to-play hero setup video as well. This video specifically is called Best Hero Setups because it is the best hero setup. Best hero setup, most likely yours are always going to mean it's going to be the pay-to-play setup, because the payers will always have the best setup. You've got to remember that. So now we're going to take an attack on, I can't see his name, he's from Outlaws. Now the tactic here is that we want the Shooting Stars Divine to go off before we got the heroes, or at least the Bastion, because we have 2 hammers in the Bastion. So that's the reason why we're going to rate it out for Shooting Stars Divine to go off. So now we're going to rate a while whilst all the heroes get dragged over to Penthesilia. We want to make sure that they're all dragged over before we drop the rest of the heroes. Now keep in mind that we're going to be dropping Exafan with Chrono Keeper and RV with Glory Priestess. Now we don't want the Penthesilia to die obviously, so do be careful of that. You don't want her to die, you want to keep her alive. So you gotta try and get the timing absolutely perfect on your hero drops. Now one thing to mention is right now Exafan has 0.5 on his active skill, and now it's down to 0. That is because of the Ironclad, which is in the Bastion, and so you can see that we're constantly using his active skill to deal lots of damage. And you can see that we're starting to rip through the base a bit now. The person who's against Forest isn't exactly an easy player. He's a very hard player. He purposely made sure that we versed a good player on the video because of the fact that otherwise it would be too easy. Now you might be thinking, look at this guy, but you gotta remember that we're talking about Rhae here. Rhae could probably take out anybody's base if he wanted to. He would just make his formation fit to take down the base. But I think I've covered most of the important things in this video now. As I've said, this is not exactly my advice for free-to-play players. I think that it's achievable to get this hero formation for free-to-play players, but I think that all the stuff like fully maxed out Glyphs and maxed out enlightened heroes, I think that'll be a struggle. I think definitely try and get yourself a Chrono Keeper and max enlightened, that's a high aim, definitely get that. Penthesilia, Rene Vann, Glory Priestess, it can be very good. X a fan, I'm not so sure on for free-to-play players because of the fact that to make him good, you have to really pile a lot into him. You have to max and lighten him. You have to have an officer reindeer at a good level in a Bastion or in your main lineup. So do remember that that is a very important thing to have. A couple more things to mention is that we purposely save a Chrono Keeper Divine for the backups. If you can't do it, you can't do it, but try and do it. And also, always make sure that you kill that Rene Vann, because otherwise it'll keep on bringing heroes back, and you'll just end up in a spiral that just keep on going round, around, around the loop. Big loop. So you don't want that. We've covered a lot in the video now. Aids, heroes, glyphs, setup, everything. So I hope this was very useful to you guys. I look forward to having one on the channel again. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Big shout out to 11 and of course Super Revolution helping out with this video. Make sure to like, subscribe and definitely hit that bell icon for more Clash Wars 2 content. And now, peace out.